ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम् ॐ So, we are all familiar with the famous composition of Pujya Swamiji, Bho Shambho. So, recently when I heard it, I found that in the Anupallavi, the content that Swamiji writes is the very same as what Acharya Shankaracharya has expressed in the content of the current verses. Yeah, verses describing the nature of Atma. So I just want to go through that Anupallavi first, where Swamiji writes, Nirguna Parabrahma Swarupa Gama Gama Bhuta Prapancha Rahita Nija Guha Nihita Nitanta Ananta Ananda Atishaya Akshaya Lingam Ananda Atishaya Akshaya Lingam Bho Shambho Shiva Shambho Swayambho Shiva Shambho Swayambho Shiva Shambho Swayambho. So in this song, Pujya Swamiji says, O Shambho, your nature is Nirvishesha Parabrahma. So whether the world comes or goes, Gama Agama, you remain Prapancha Rahita, free from all attributes. Where are you found? You abide in the heart. Nija Guha Nihita, Nija Guha Nihita Ananta, as that limitless Anandam in all. You are beyond comparison, Atishayaha. And finally, Akshaya Linga, you are free from change. So in the last verses, Acharya has said exactly the same. That Paramatma Swarupa is Prakriti Vikriti Bhinnaha, distinct from the cause and effect, from manifest and unmanifest. And how are we to know this Atma Brahma? This Atma Brahma, it can be known in the Sattvatmani Dhi Guhayam Ravivat Hridaya Akashe Ushat Prakashaha, shining as the Sakshi I. In the heart space, in the Buddhi Guha. So the nature of Sakshi is, it is changeless, but it supports change. And it is the witness of the Buddhi, of the mind, of the body, and all their modifications, roles, qualities, attributes, everything. Sakshi Rupena Buddhehe iti Atma Brahma. So very beautiful description, Acharya, and the song also. So now, if you remember, the Shishya has asked 7 questions in verse number 49. And we are in the second question. The first was, Kaha Asau Anatma. And Acharya spent a lot of verses, 70 plus or so, answering the nature of Anatma. Now we are presently in the second question, which is, Paramatmanah Swarupaha Kaha. What is the nature of Paramatma? And those are the verses we are seeing now. Now, the next verse is going to conclude the answer to the second question. So, let us see that verse. Now, these verses you have just heard are very long, right? But do not be intimidated by the length of the Sanskrit verses. Yeah. Once we do the padacheda and the sandhis, you will find that the meaning will jump out from the verses and jump into our mind. It is really simple. You know that joke when one child was asked to, tell the spelling of banana by the school teacher, the child said, I know it, Banana, and went on. The teacher said, What is this? Is this a spelling of banana? He says, Yes, sir. It's a Kerala banana. Kerala bananas are very long. So, like that, Acharya has devoted some very long verses in the Viveka Chudamani, and we are attempting that Trishtup meter to chant this. Okay. So, the next one is also to understand Atma as I. How do I understand that remote Paroksha Brahma as Aparoksha Atma? That is the challenge. Niyamitamanasāmam tvam svamatmānamatmani ayamahamiti sakshāt vidhi buddhi prasadat jani maranataranga para samsara sindhum pratara bhava kritārtho brahmarūpena samsthaha niyamita manasa amum tvam swam atmanam atmani ayam aham iti sakshat vidhi buddhi prasadat jani marana taranga apara samsara sindhum pratara bhava kritarthaha brahmarupena samsthaha. Now, we should always attempt to catch the basic sentence, So here, Acharya says, Tvam amum sakshat vidhi. What is amum? Amum is this, yeah? Shabda in Sanskrit, this. And what is this? This is, we have to connect to the previous verses. Acharya has been describing the Paramatma Swarupa. So, amum. And this verse has three lot lakaras, command mode, bhava, pratara, vidhi. First, let us take up vidhi. So, Acharya says, my dear Shishya, tvam vidhi, may you know, amum, this Atma, may you know, how? Sakshat. Now, sakshat means directly. So, directly means aparokshataya. And aparokshataya means very intimately as oneself. Somebody tells us, oh, the Char Dham, very beautiful it is, the pilgrimage. I saw a documentary on television. Then another person says, I have been there. It is truly awesome. So we are likely to believe that direct first-hand account than the reporting from a second-hand information. So here Sakshat is to know that Sakshi, Avastatraya Sakshi as oneself, very intimately as me. And what does that mean? What instruments do I have to know that? Only Shabda Pramana. Because Shabda Pramana is going to open the Jnana Chakshu. I cannot look at that Atma, Pratyagatma with the physical eyes. I need the Jnana Chakshuhu. And the Jnana Chakshuhu is opened by the triple sadhana, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, by the grace of the Guru. So Sakshat, to know Atma Sakshat, Rupena is to know it subjectively. Now, when I know anything in the world, I say I know the flower. This is objective knowledge. So there is a Triputi. There is a knower, something to be known, and the process of knowing. So that Tripudi is not there in Sakshat Jnanam. Subjective knowledge is to simply know that I am. So that is the first part here. So this Sakshi, which Acharya has described in so many words, Pratibodha Matraha, Puranaha, Purushaha, Sadeka Rupaha, Nijabodha Swarupaha, Prakriti Vikriti Bhinnaha, all these words that we saw, Amum, this Sakshi, which is Shat Vikara Rahitaha, which is free from any change, the sixfold change that we see in the world. It is free from all that. And what does that amum do, Vilasati? It shines in all the three states: waking, dream, deep sleep, and all the stages of life also: childhood, boyhood, girlhood, adult, teenager, and Vriddha Avastha. It shines as I, Aham. So that's the first line. Tvam vidhi swatmanam atmani. Now, Atmani, we just saw in the previous verse, Sattvatmani, in the settled, calm, pure mind, we can discover this Sakshi I. This is not the Ahankara I. See, right now, there is an Ahankara I talking. Yeah, the I identified with this Upadhi. But here it is Aham Aham. Ramana Maharshi puts another Aham, Aham square. So that is the pure consciousness. That is as though talking through the mouth, listening through the ears. So, Swatmanam Tvam Vidhi Atmani. Atmani Aham Iti Sakshan. So, may you know very clearly, distinctly, and intimately that Avasthatraya Sakshi as oneself. Oneself, and how to know that? There are two qualifications pointed out in the first line. One is Niyamita Manasa. Niyamita Manasa means Tritiya, with the mind that is calm and settled and purified, endowed with Shamadamadi Shatka Sampattihi, Amanitva Adambitvam, ityadi values and attitudes, purified by Karma Yoga and Bhakti Upasanas. Niyamita Manasa. And in the end of the first line, Buddhi Prasadat. Buddhi Prasadat is because one has gained the Chitta Shuddhi, freedom from the binding desires and Ragadvesha. There is a Prasanna Chitta. That is called Buddhi Prasada, Atma Kripa. So, by the grace of one's own mind, one is able to know this Avasthatraya Sakshi as oneself. Now look at the first line again. It will be very easy. Niyamita Manasa, by the purified, settled, calm mind. Amum Tvam, you know this as Swatmanam Atmani. Atmani is in the mind. Remember in the Bhagavad Gita, how we came across verses like this. The Jivatma, Atma, Atmanam, Atmani, Atmana, Janati. So to know the Atma, in the Atma, by the Atma. So it's a very contextual word. So somewhere it will mean mind, Atma, somewhere it means the pure consciousness. So we have to be careful. Here also, Swatmanam Atmani Aham Iti. So by the mind, in the mind only I am going to discover the knowledge. So this is self-knowledge, the knowledge of oneself. Sakshat, Sakshat Vidhi, and Buddhi Prasadat, by the grace of your own mind. Then the second line is describing the nature of samsara. Yeah. So look at the second line again. We have there a verb which says pratara. Jani marana taranga apara samsara sindhum pratara. Bhava. That last quarter we'll take up later. Let's take pratara first. So, here, what does pratara mean? Again, lot lakara. Prakarshena tarati. So Prakashena Tara means the Guru is telling the Shishya, now you cross over very well. Prakashena Tara. Tara what? The Samsara Sindhu. Sindhu means Sagara, ocean. So this ocean of samsara, which is so formidable, now you cross over. Apara samsara sindhu. Apara means shoreless. You can't see the shore. If anybody of you have gone on a cruise, you know that when you reach the middle of the ocean, there is no horizon, there is no shore anywhere. Apara samsara sindhu. That's the glory of the ocean. But here, Acharya says, is comparing what? The samsara, worldly life, to the fathomless, shoreless ocean, which is what? Jani Marana Taranga Tarangaihi. Taranga means waves. So, what are the waves here? The waves are dashing in the ocean. One is Janma, Jani, one is Marana. So, one wave brings us back to life, another wave takes us back to causal shariram, unmanifest. No? And then Acharya in the Gita Acharya says, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Sandhanam. So may one do this anusandhanam, dosha darshanam of what is between Janma and Maranam? Vyadhi, Dukkham, yeah, then Jara, aging. So all these are the waves in the samsara sagara, the turbulent waves of the Shadvikaras. Shadvikaras also we saw recently. Asti, Jayate, Vardhate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati. All these are the waves, turbulent waves in this shoreless samsara sagara. And now Acharya says, Tara. Yeah, you just cross over this ocean of samsara by the grace of your mind. Of course, grace of Shastra, grace of Guru is included. There's no doubt about it. Now, a modern example will be what? A roller coaster. The roller coaster rides in the entertainment parks. People actually pay for them. So you go up in a second and you're screaming as you come down. So life is compared to, the samsara sagara where we are dashed by these turbulent waves, or it's like a roller coaster, turbulent up and down. And simply for some thrill and some kick, we go for it. Yeah. So here, what else does Acharya say here? Kritarthaha bhava. Bhava is again lot. You be a kritarthaha. Kritarthaha means fulfilled. Yena paramapurusharthaha kritaha. By whom the goal of life, the purpose is fulfilled. You be the fulfilled bhakta. Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. Krishna has said in the Gita. So, and how will one become the Parama Bhaktaha, the Jnani Bhaktaha, Kritarthaha? The last quarter. Brahma Rupena Samsthaha. So look at the last quarter again. Jani Marana Taranga Apara Samsara Sindhum Pratara. Another sentence. Then Kritarthaha Bhava Brahma Rupena Samsthaha. By becoming Brahma Rupena Samsthaha. See, in the Gita, we have come across the ocean in a positive way also. If you remember chapter 2, Sankhya Yoga. Apuryamanamachala pratishtaha samudramapa pravichanti yatvat. How the wise person, Sthita Prajna's mind is like the ocean. Rivers can enter, makes no difference to the depth. And water can evaporate, and again, no difference. No. So here, Sagara is symbolizing in the negative context, the worldly existence of suffering. Suffering, even Janma is considered to be suffering. No. It seems they're suffering for not only the mother, but for the child also, to come into this world from the nourishment of the womb. No? And death, Mrityu, of course, Mrityu is the fear of death is always there, lingering in the background for everybody. And in between, there's a fear of loneliness, insecurity, aging, disease. No, the body can never be disease free. Something or the other will, will afflict viral infection, bacterial, joint pain, eye pain, headache. No, like Swamiji says, if you have a head, we should be ready for headaches. So if you have joints, then joint pain will be there at some point. No, so it's important to take care. No, but here it's talking about that emotional independence. Yeah, that emotional independence is the way to cross over this ocean of samsara. And the last quarter is Bhava Kritarthaha. You be a fulfilled devotee, my dear Shishya. How Brahma Rupena Samstaha. By, by being in the form of Brahma. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. So that Atma Brahma, gaining self-knowledge, no, you abide in that Paramarthika Satyam as the limitless whole. Yeah. And you accept and accommodate and adjust with the limitations of the Upadhi. So, in short, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. To know that the limited will always be limited. Whatever is put together is going to decline, decay, and fall apart. I should be ready for that acceptance. But what was never put together? Ajo Nitya Shashvatoyam Puranaha, there'll be no change, no decline, no decay, no disappearance. So, that is the message in this shloka 136. नियमितमनसामुं त्वं स्वमात्मानमात्मनि अयमहमिति साक्षात् विद्धि बुद्धिप्रसादा जनिमरणतरङ्गा पारसंसारसिन्धुं प्रतरभवकृतार्थो ब्रह्मरूपेण संस्थः. Okay. So now with that, with the shloka number 136, Acharya has completed the answering the second question, and that is, what is the second question? Paramatmanaha Swarupaha Kaha. What is the nature of Atma? So it looks like Acharya has devoted about 12 shlokas to Atma Swarupaha, and before that, about 80 plus to Anatma Swarupaha. Anatma. Now, what is the third question going to be? The third question is Ko Nama Bandhaha. So Shishya has asked 7 questions, and one of them was Kaha Nama Bandhaha. Oh Guru, what exactly is the nature of bondage? What do you mean by bondage? That French philosopher you would have heard has said, man is born free. I think it's Voltaire. Man is born free, but finds himself everywhere in chains. So as a baby, there is no raga dvesha, and there is no ambition, there's no desire, struggle, no clothes, even, yeah, birthday suit, no clothes, no ambitions, no frustration, no anger, free. It's all capsulated, but it'll come later. So everywhere in chains. And so later on, Acharya is going to show that we are creating the chains and trapping ourselves into a self-made prison. Like the silkworm cocoon builds the cocoon. It's going to come later. But now let us see the definition of bandhanam, bondage, in the shloka number 137. अत्रानात्मन्यहमिति मतिर्बन्ध एषोऽस्य पुंसः प्राप्तो ज्ञानात् जननमरणक्लेशसम्पातहेतुः अत्रानात्मन्यहमिति मतिर्बन्ध एषोऽस्य पुंसः प्राप्तो ज्ञानात् जननमरणक्लेशसम्पातहेतुः येनैवायं वपुरिदमसत् सत्यमित्यात्मबुद्ध्या येनैवायं वपुरिदमसत् सत्यमित्यात्मबुद्ध्या पुष्यत् युक्षत् यवति विषयैः तन्तुभिः Poshakritvat. Okay, so now I have to split some sandhis here. Atra anatmani aham iti. Very important. Atra anatmani aham iti. Matihi. Bandhaha eshaha asya pumsaha. प्राप्तः अज्ञानात् जननमरण क्लेश संपात हेतुः येन एव अयं वपुः इदम् असत् सत्यमिति आत्मबुद्ध्या पुष्यति उक्षति अवति विषयैः तन्तुभिः कोशकृत्वत्. Don't worry about the sandhis. People who know Sanskritam would have been able to follow me right now, but don't worry. We will take it line by line. So, in the first line, Acharya defines what is bondage. Atra Atmani Aham iti matihi bandhaha. What is bandhaha was a question. Ko nama bandhaha? Now the answer is the matihi, the understanding. If I understand that my aham, I understand I to be in anatma. Anatmani aham iti matihi bandhaha. Simple answer. So the nature of bondage is placing the I in anatma. Now we may think it's very natural to do this. We have done it for years. When I was born, I say I was born in the month of July, right? So I'm referring to my body. I was born, then I went to school, and then I got married and all that. So we have identified, we have placed the aham in anatma bodies before coming to Vedanta. Okay, so at some point, instead of thinking that I'm a physical person having an Atma experience. Now it is the tables are turned. I am Atma with a physical incidental appearance. So that's why we say our birthdays are appearance days. The body has appeared, put together. We celebrate that. No birthdays for Atma. So look at the first line. Atra anatmani. This is the Saptami. Anatmani. In the Anatma bodies, Aham iti matihi. The understanding that this is who I am. This is my mind, this is my body, and this is who I am. Identified with Anatma. This is Bandhaha. Eshaha Bandhaha. For whom? Asya Pumsaha. Pumsaha is Puman Shabda, the person. Asya means for this person, Shashti here. For which person? The one who is seeking to know. You can say Mumukshu, you can say Shishya, Shishyasya, for this person, what? The notion that this is I. Whereas what is the truth? When the baby was born, the form was given a name. It's just Nama Rupa. And then through the body, we achieved various states, went to school, college, university, graduated, and went on with the milestones of life. So now Acharya is saying that's not who you really are. So the bondage is when I place my I notion in anatma bodies. Whereas the truth is they're all value additions. They are karanas, instrument of expression. They are the vehicle, in which I'm seated. That kind of understanding is what Vedanta is giving us now. Now, this is praptaha. Now, how did this notion come? This we know very well, avidya. So look at the second line, praptaha ajnanat. Because of self-ignorance. When did this ignorance begin? Anadikala. I do not know. When there was self-forgetfulness. So we say anadi. Maya is anadi. Janma is anadi. And we're going round and round and round. We do not know when the ignorance began. Ignorance cannot begin. So, praptaha. Praptaha means this bondage is praptaha ajnanat, because of ajnanam. And what else? And janana marana kleshaha sampata hetuhu. So, this bondage, this erroneous identification with the anatma body, then what happens? Then definitely I will have conclusions like, I am mortal, I am aging, I am finite, I am insignificant, I am insecure, I am anxious. All these notions definitely will follow through this bondage, the identification with anatma. So, by ajnanam, now Acharya says, this due to ignorance, there is bondage. And this bondage becomes what? Janana marana klesha sampata hetu. Hetu means cause. This becomes the cause for samyak patanam, for a complete immersion or fall for the jiva. And in what? In the kleshas. Klesha means affliction, sorrow. Janana, Marana, Klesha. We just saw that. No? That Janma, no, Janma is a Klesha because it does not come with Punyam alone. It will always be Mishrita, Papa Punya Mishrita. I cannot selectively choose human Shariram, human birth, only with Punyam to exhaust. No, it's not possible. And then Janana, Marana, Klesha. Now, the word Klesha is beautifully defined in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. No? So, I'll just take a brief look there. Patanjali talks about the Pancha Kleshas. And Avidya is the root. No? In Vedanta also. No? Avidya, Kama, Karma, Karma Phalam, Janma. This cycle we know very well. Here, this Acharya Patanjali says there are these 5 kleshas. Avidya, then Asmita. Asmita is, look at the word Asmi is in Asmita. Asmi means I. Ahankara. The notion of Ahankara is Asmita. Then once I is there, Ragadvesha, me, mine, Mama Graham, Mama Parivaraha, Mama Dhanam. There will be attachment and aversion. Raga and Dvesha. And Abhiniveshaha. Abhiniveshaha is clinging to life. So it's very clear that when the I is placed in Anatma, there will be a natural sense of insecurity. There will be possessiveness. Yeah, through my body, I'm connected to so many things in the world. My possessions, my family, my role, my profession. So there will be raga, dveshas, and abhiniveshaha. I want to prolong life. I want the body to be always healthy, always beautiful, always, serving me in this way. Abhinivesha, clinging to life. And these are the kleshas. Here Acharya mentions Janana Marana klesha. But in Patanjali Yoga, we have avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha. Then now look at the second line. Yena eva ayam. Second line of this shloka. Yena eva ayam vapuhu idam asat satyamiti atma buddhya. Now, by which vapuhu means body. Okay. Now, this body is really what? Asat. Vapuhu idam asat, but the deluded person takes it to be satyam. Satyam iti atma buddhya. Atma buddhya means thinking it is me. This is satyam. This body, which is actually mithya, changing, it's dependent, but I'm thinking it is satyam. I am not only satyam, it is me. Atma buddhya satyamiti. Then the last line is, so then when this notion is there, what will happen? Pushyati, ukshati, avati, vishayaihi. I need to explain that. So, see, once I take the bodies to be I, you know, the body is asat. Now, asat, we have seen many times, does not mean non existence. It means what? Maya karyam. It is there, but it is not permanent, not really there. Means it is changing. Yeah. Sat asadbhyam anirvachaniya iti mithya maya asat. That's the asat we'll take here. So, yena eva ayam. So, by this bondage, what? This ayam vapuhu, which is really asat, we are taking to be satyam. Because of ajnanam. Asatyam iti atmabuddhya. Atmabuddhya means taking oneself to be the body. Then what do? I will pushyati, nourish the body, ukshati, anoint it, then avati, rakshati. Three verbs are there. With what? Vishayahi, with sense objects. Now, the body, to get even ready for a class, it takes me at least 40 minutes. So, when we have a body, we have to bathe it, we have to dress it, we have to, put some makeup. Our makeup is chandanam vibhuti, right? So the body has to be given food and some clothes, yeah. But then here, Acharya is talking about those who pamper the body, who are living a very body-centered life, So what will they be thinking about? How to give protein shakes? Where can I get multivitamins, supplements, and health tonics? No, all they'll be obsessed with the diet. Should I go for keto diet or OMAD, one meal a day, or shall I become a vegan or intermittent fasting? So pushyati, that poshanam can develop into a huge obsession with. That is what Acharya is saying here. One may go to the gym, do hours of training, which is a good thing, no, and or some do pranayama for hours at a stretch for a healthy body. But you see how the body is heavy maintenance. We have to keep it healthy, away from colds and coughs and all these things. So pushyati, this poshanam is talked about here first. Then the second word is ukshati. Ukshati means to do lepanam, anoint. So there are people, who may not take a bath, but they'll put perfumes. So they will put chandanam and then perfumes. Then there are, skincare tonics and, fair and lovely creams, anti-wrinkle creams. So ukshati, ukshati, ukshati. And all this fragrant soaps and all this shows the attachment to the body. Because the I notion in the anatma body is so strong. That is the message, Acharya is giving here. So one wants to be presentable. There's nothing wrong in it. So, but when one is constantly worried and insecure about my appearance, I have to dye my hair and I have to, put this cream and that lotion and then branded clothes and perfumes. So we see how many hours can go away in this. Yeah, that is the ukshati. Yeah, all this beetroot scrub and coffee hair dye. So many keeps the commercials are all tempting the people with all this. Then avati. Avati means protects. So we protect the body. How? The body needs shelter. And once I'm identified with the body, no, I don't want to stay alone and insecure. I'll have a house and possessions, and then I need everything: gadgets, TV, mobile, car, bank balance, insurance, health insurance, and life insurance. All this for the sake of pushyati, ukshati, avati for the body. Now we have to understand this in the proper light. No? If it is cold, definitely I have to protect the body with warm clothes. If it is hot, then I have to have buttermilk and sugarcane juice and all that. But here it is talking about that obsession. Yeah, to only be worried and concerned about anatma bodies, to pamper it. That is the idea here. And if I think I can protect the body from all the kind of diseases, I can protect it from jara, I can protect it from mrityu. Is it possible? Not at all. Yeah, that is the idea here. So whatever I do, I have to accept that the body is limited and there will be some infection or the other. But despite the limitations, can I discover the limitless, infinite being? So this is how Acharya defines the bandhanam. Now look at the last quarter. There is an example. What is the example here? Tantubihi kosha krit vat. Tantubihi. Now tantu means threads. Yeah, threads. And kosha krit is a Sanskrit word for silkworm. Pattupuchi, I think. No, this is. So silkworm. This is the famous Drishtanta. You remember the Drishtantas earlier that we saw? Matanga, Kuranga, Patanga, and how one sense organ led an animal to its destruction. It walked into the trap, no? Like Patanga was attracted to light, and so it falls into the flame. Matanga, by Sparsha Indriyam, the elephant walks into a trap, like that. Now here there's a description of Koshakrit. Koshakrit is silkworm, and we know how from its own body it weaves the silken threads round and round and round and round. But apparently science tells us it does not leave an opening. So it is inside, and one reason is it has made its own trap. It suffocates. Yeah. Now the other reason given is that what is the fate of silkworms? We all know very well. The weavers will come and take it and plunge it into the boiling waters. That's the end of the silkworm. So silkworm and the patanga, matanga, kuranga, they don't have viveka. Viveka is there in a Manushya Shariram. To the extent to do an Atma Anatma Viveka is really possible through the faculty of choice and free will in the human Shariram. There's a limited free will in other embodiments. So then what do the weavers do? The weavers are going to weave it into the beautiful Kanchipuram silk saris. Yeah. So look at at what expense one wears a silk sari. So Puja Swamiji would talk about this, and Kanchi Mahapariva also has talked about it and said, if you want to not only save money but save silkworms, give up wearing silk saris. I'm not saying that because it is a personal choice. Yeah. But Swamiji would talk about the ahimsa silk. There is a substitute ahimsa silk. 30 years ago, Swamiji talked about it, and which is like an imitation silk. So the idea here given is just as a silkworm builds its own trap and perishes because it has no viveka, so too the tantu, the threads. We are also weaving a cocoon by the pashas, ropes of attachment. Aham, mama, mahyam, for me, this is mine. So me and mine, it looks as though we are protecting and nourishing the body, but really, ajnanat, we are destroying. There is self-destruction. In fact, the more we enjoy anything, it is seen that we do not enjoy the sense objects. They enjoy us because the faculties are declining. The more we use them, they're going to decline. So that is the idea here. Let's chant it again. अत्रानात्मन्यहमिति मतेर्बन्ध एषोऽस्य पुंसः प्राप्तो ज्ञानात् जननमरणक्लेशसम्पातहेतुः येनैवायं वपुरिदमसत् सत्यमित्यात्मबुद्ध्या पुष्यत्युक्षत् यवति विषयैस्तन्तुभिः कोशकृत् कोशकृत्वत् like the silkworm. So this abhimana, deha abhimana, infatuation with anatma is pointed out here. In fact, this kind of obsession, infatuation can be with the jati, with the kula, with the bhasha, with the body, of course, through the body to all these things. So the Viveka is again pointed out here. Now the next shloka is, now we are entering a new topic. So far, the question, kaha bandhaha, was answered. No? Now, the next topic is the nature of the bandhanam. So there we will come to one definition which is very, very famous. This is asmita. So asmita is really identification with the body, mind and senses. Asmi. Now let us see the 138th shloka. अतस्मिन् तद्बुद्धिः प्रभवति विमूढस्य तमसा अतस्मिन् तद्बुद्धिः प्रभवति विमूढस्य तमसा विवेकाभावाद्वै स्फुरति भुजगे रज्जुधिषणा विवेकाभावाद्वै स्फुरति भुजगे रज्जुधिषणा ततोऽनर्थव्रातो निपतति समादातुरधिकः ततोऽनर्थव्रातो निपतति समादातुरधिकः ततो यो सद्ग्राहः स हि भवति बन्ध शृणु सखे ततो यो सद्ग्राहः स हि भवति बन्ध शृणु सखे अतस्मिन् तद्बुद्धिः प्रभवति विमूढस्य तमसा विवेक अभावात् वै स्फुरति भुजगे रज्जुधिषणा ततः अनर्थव्रातः सः हि भवति बन्धः शृणु हे सखे. See how nicely the Guru calls the Shishya as Hey Sakhe, oh friend, my dear friend. So we know how Uddhava and Krishna were dear friends to Krishna. So like that, it is not that the Guru is treating the Shishya as a friend, but in an endearing way. He says, Hey Sakhe. Like we can look upon God also as a friend, right? So it brings us closer to our Ishtadevata, something like that. Now here we are going to see a very important definition for the topic of Adhyasaha. Now Adhyasa is not a new topic for most of us. And Adhyasa means superimposition, mix up, confusing one for the other. Now the first two words here are a classic definition given by Acharya Shankaracharya, that is Atasmin Tat Buddhihi. Atasmin Tat Buddhihi. Now this is so famous, these two words, that Acharya Shankaracharya has given prelude to the Brahma Sutra Bhashyam of Vedavyasa. Brahma Sutras of Vedavyasa, there is a Adhyasa Bhashyam. So Shankaracharya describes what is Adhyasa. What do you mean by erroneous perception? How is one mistaken for the other? Mix up. What do you mean by that? The definition is Atasmin Tad Buddhihi. Later on at some point in your life, if somebody asks you, oh, you've been studying Gita, Vedanta for so many years. What do you know? You say, yeah, I have studied Adhyasa. What is Adhyasa? You say, Atasmin Tad Buddhi. Then eyebrows will go up because that's the classic definition. Atasmin Tad Buddhihi iti Adhyasaha. Now, what does this atasmin tat buddhihi mean? Atasmin, in that which is not there, tat buddhihi. You are seeing that. Atasmin tat buddhihi. எதுல அது இல்லையோ அது பார்க்கிறது. So you see a flower in something that is not a flower. You see a snake in something that is not snake. Atasmin tat buddhihi. This is the masterpiece definition of Shankaracharya for adhyasaha. So atasmin tad buddhihi is prabhavati. Prabhavati means it rises, it appears. For whom? Vimudhasya. For the one who is deluded. Vedigattana Muttal. Vimudhaha is filtered fool, as they say, So, Mudaha does not mean a fool, really. It means aviveki. Remember in the Bhaja Govindam, how often Shankaracharya uses the word Mudaha? Govindam Bhaja Mudaha. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate, Mudhamate, Mudhajahihi Dhanagama Trishna. So, that Mudha is the one who is seeing Anatma as Atma. So Vimudha is totally, Visheshena Mudha is totally deluded. So for such a person, Prabhavati arises what? Atasmin tad buddhihi. Such a person will mistake Anatma for Atma and Atma for Anatma. Atasmin tad buddhihi. And why? Tamasa. Tamas we know is the wailing power of Maya Shakti. So tamas, wherever there is tamas, there will be concealment, wailing. Like at night, we're all overwhelmed by tamas. We do not know anything. Yeah, but that is not the problem because we are happily asleep. Then what is the problem? Problem is vikshepa. That is, once something is concealed, but the mind will project something else. Have you all received a message in WhatsApp, Before you can read it, it is deleted. So then you think, oh, what did the sender want to write to me? So you wonder about it. Oh, I wish I had read it. And so something is concealed. We do not know what. And the mind will do vikshepa, project. That is the problem, the projection. Yeah. Imagining all kinds of things, about the person who sent but deleted, for example. So here also, the rope is concealed by darkness, but the mind projected a harmful snake and suffered. So the vikshepa is causing the snake, and avaranam hid the rope. So which is more problematic? Vikshepa. So here look at the first line. Atasmin tatbuddhihi prabhavati vimudasya tamasa. Now, why does this happen? Viveka abhavat, because of lack of Viveka. And Viveka abhavat vais purati bhujage rajju dhishana. Now here, look at Acharya Shankaracharya. His stock example is Rajju Sarpa. But here it is reversed. It is Sarpa Rajju. Okay. So the Rajya Sarpa we all know very well. It has appeared in this very text earlier, the initial verses. Yeah. Now when we mistake in the evening, in the dull light, we mistake a rope for the snake. Okay. Then with additional light, I discover the rope. But if it is the other way around, if there is a snake coiled and we mistake it for a rope, which is more dangerous? Right? The second. I know for a fact that this has happened to a friend of mine in the US. On the porch in front of the home, there's a coiled snake, and one may think it's a garden, a hose or a rope and come close and attempt to pick it up. And then you're done, Then there's a whole suffering. That is pointed out here in the second line. Viveka abhavat vais purati Bhujage. Bhujage means on the snake, the real snake. Vyavaharika snake, Spurati shines what? Rajju. Rajju Dhishana means the dhi. Yeah, the notion that, oh, it's just a harmless rope, but it's a deadly snake. Opposite example. Yeah. Usually we see a harmless rope and the deadly snake projected by the mind. But here, Acharya reverses it. Yeah. So then, Tataha, look at the second line, Tataha Anarthavrataha. ततः अनर्थव्रातः निपतति समादातुः अधिकः. So, after that, one mistake we make in life, then anarthavratah. Vrata means host. A host of problems, one after the other. You would have heard of this avalanche effect in the Himalayas. One pebble, falls down, then it collects, a rumble starts, and slowly there's a snowball avalanche effect, and a huge boulder-like, avalanche comes down. Like if you tell one lie to protect, how many lies we have to continue to protect that one lie? Countless. Yeah. So somewhat like that, one mistake, one erroneous perception, taking anatma for atma, like taking the deadly snake for a rope, tataha anarthavrataha nipatati samadatuhu adhika. Samadatuhu means for the one who perceives erroneously. Erroneously, there'll be a host of suffering. Then finally, tataha yaha asat grahaha. Asat grahaha means clinging to asat, clinging to anatma. Therefore, clinging to anatma, Guru says, sahahi bhavati bandhaha. This is bondage. Clinging, taking asat anatma to be satyam atma is the bondage. And that's due to aviveka. Like taking the deadly snake to be a harmless rope. Then last is Shrinu He Sakhi. No? Oh, dear friend, you listen. No? Listen to all this. Atasmin tat buddhi prabhavati vimudhasya tamasam विवेकाभावाद्वै स्फुरति भुजगे रज्जुदिशना ततो नर्थव्रातो निपतति समादातुरधिकः ततो यो सद्ग्राहः स हि भवति बन्धः शृणु सखे. Puja Swamiji told us that there are also harmless adhyasas. Like, for example, if I go to the kitchen, and I mistake the salt for the powder sugar. So then I want my rasam. Then adhyasa has happened, so rasam turns out to be sweet. Then if I want coffee and adhyasa has happened, then I will get a salty coffee. Mistaking salt for sugar and sugar for salt. Yeah. So these are harmless adhyasas. No? Then Shankaracharya in that adhyasa bhashyam to the Brahma Sutras also talks about deliberate adhyasa. What is deliberate adhyasa? Upasana. Now, are we not deliberately superimposing the Ananta Kalyana Guna Vaibhavam of Mahavishnu upon a Shaligram? On a piece of fossilized stone, we are superimposing, doing adhyasa of the Mahan Mahavishnu. This is a very good adhyasa. Adhyasa for the purpose of upasana, worship. But here, we are seeing the erroneous adhyasa because of aviveka, mistaking anatma for atma, and that leads to a host of suffering. Because if I don't see yathartaha means if I don't see something as it is, then I am going to imagine all the possibilities, what it is not. And that imagination, that vivid imagination will lead to all kinds of unpleasant situations is the idea here. So, we see that in the world also, when we go around, if we ask people, Do you know there is a Parabrahma? There is Ananda Sarupa Atma who's limitless, who's changeless, and but who supports change. What is the likely response we will get? If who's a mumukshu will say, yes, I have heard a talk or two, and yes, our Shastras talk about it. Others will say, keep your Vedanta to yourself. One Vedanta, unkite vechiko. I have heard this many times. And some will say, I don't know, I don't care. No, so this shows the degrees of avaranam is there. Self ignorance, it was there for us also. you know we did not always think we are atma. So like that avaranam is there. So that avaranam caused by the tamas shakti of maya causes the adhyasa. Adhyasa is taking anatma for atma, and that is the bondage that the Shishya wanted to know. So if aviveka caused the bondage, then what will make the bondage disappear? Viveka. So that is what Viveka Chudamani is all about. If one continues to come to Viveka Chudamani Zoom classes, one will get the Viveka and the Adhyasa will go. And we'll be very clear, Yathartha, what is Anatma? I respect and appreciate and am grateful for. But I will not mistake it for I, the Atma. Om Tat Sat. Today, let us chant the Swasti mantras. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महीमहीषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ तत्सत्